Reports from beyond the stars. Captain Johanna Lake reporting in, she says, snapping a salute for all the cameras and representatives to see. She had finally arrived. Faster than expected, too. The maintained momentum from the axiom lanes had cut the trip nearly in half from the edge of cruel space to Earth, which was something of a relief. The low gravity of the rotational sections of the Lance 03, renamed Pending, had been frustrating to deal with. She felt as if she were 200 pounds overweight to normal gravity, but that was something she could easily deal with and had in fact enjoyed her first, rather brutal exercise session in full gravity after months in low gravity. Her crew were all dealing with things in their own way when their home nations had recalled them for debriefing. They had given the prepared reports and massive information dumps. And now it was her job to answer lingering questions, which she very much believed would be unending circles. Easily summarized as, yes, we're serious. The galaxy is really like that. No, this is not a prank. No, someone has not slipped you pornography. She had spent much of her free moments on the trip back preparing for this. All of you have had time to read the information dockets, study the sheer amount of documents and information we've recovered, and the numerous notes and remarks from the intelligence division of the Dauntless and its field agents out among the galaxy. I am more than happy to clarify the enormous number of questions you no doubt have. Unfortunately, my own dealings with alien life and civilizations is limited, so there will be gaps in my knowledge. Captain Lake says to the assembly, and there is a massive wave of questions. Nearly concussive in its force, as everyone wants to ask questions, and those that can't be heard over the den attempt to shout, and then to be heard shout all the harder. Captain Lake steps back from the podium and waits patiently for everyone to tire themselves out. If we're done shouting, perhaps we could have inquiries in a more organized manner. I understand there is a great deal of excitement, but do understand that many of those around you will have similar questions, if not the same ones, so please be patient. Captain Lake says calmly, and there's some deliberation among the representatives. After a short while, Representative Angel from Germany stands up. I apologize for jumping ahead. However, my nephew is one of the soldiers assigned to the Dauntless Drake Angel. I am concerned with many of the things raised in this report, and am curious as to how the men and women we have sent out are dealing with the oddities and absurdities of the galaxy at large. Representative Angel. Not only am I personally aware of what your nephew has been up to, but he is the envy of many men on the Dauntless. He, along with 9 others, have been hand-selected for a special mission that has granted him and the team he is part of control of a captured alien vessel that has been christened the Chainbreaker. They and he have obtained a bounty hunting license and have been making a fierce reputation for bringing in even the most dangerous targets in alive and ready for processing. The sheer competence and skill they've displayed on the field, coupled with a refusal to take bonuses, has caused them to become figures more akin to a folktale or legend on the galactic scene. Really, Representative Inno states, there was so much information to sift through. I wasn't able to find much about him. I understand. We have brought back entire libraries worth of information. Translating it all from galactic trade will take a lot of skilled linguists a long time. I don't blame you for struggling to find your nephew in the mess, Captain Lake says genially. Although the subject of the bounty hunters does bring us rather close to the interesting topic of another expansion of human influence throughout the galaxy, namely the EFL or Earth Foreign Legion. Numerous times when the Dauntless was set upon by pirates, many of the ships in question were quickly captured and their crews and captains subverted to our cause. As a result, we have begun building a fleet that has numerous hardened criminals all but eating out of the hands of our soldiers, and no less than 2 major space stations openly declaring themselves as allies of humanity. I think that's quite enough. The representative for China wouldn't in protests, standing up. The amount of information is not in question, nor is its consistency. What is in question is the blatant and childish vandalism to the information dockets. The pornographic images laced in among the documents speaks of outright vandalism and is a direct insult. I'm afraid the images were quite realistic and accurate, Captain Lake says. Do you think me an idiot? Pages after pages of women of absurd sizes wearing disgusting fetish outfits. Or perhaps you want me to believe that it is galactic sport to smuggle flesh-cold volleyballs while wearing the outfit of a prostitute. Shin demands almost spitting in disgust and holding up an image of Captain Agenda Lilpaw. Is this what we spend our money on? To satisfy some sick wretch's sexual deviancy? No. That particular image is of Captain Agenda Lilpaw, one of the main figures in the EFL. It is an unfortunate truth. The truth that the rest of the galaxy and likely universe does not adhere to our sensibilities or standards. The laws of physics, of morality, of decency, and even common sense are utterly foreign to us outside our protective bubble, known to the rest of the galaxy as cruel space. You see that image and find yourself staring down a deviant, wet dream. Whereas, in the wider galaxy, that is the image of a hardened criminal that has been recruited into a legal militia. That is absurd. Shin states flatly, it becomes much less so when you remember that the rest of the galaxy operates under different laws of physics. Life evolved differently outside of this little part of the galaxy. This has resulted in a synchronization of all races so pervasive that it has effectively reached us here in cruel space as well. These peoples do not resemble us. We resemble them. These races casually trace their history further back than any nation on Earth, with steady nations as old as 5,000 years of age being considered young on the galactic stage. Walk us through it, Captain Lake. Explain how this absurdity happens. The representative of Russia states calmly to try and keep everything on track. You want me to crack open the field of xenobiology in a pathy summation? You want an entire scientific discipline and field of study in a few simple words? As best as you are able. Fine. Simply put, it's all about the axiom, the field of physics we don't have access to here. This omnipresent energy field allows absurd leaps in evolution and technological advancement. It also has far-reaching ripple-like effects that connect all things together in some way or another. The aliens are primarily female because males take more energy biologically to produce. And with axiom enhancing any being that cares to try it means that there is no specialized role for hunters or warriors. A woman alien can be just as strong as a larger male alien. And so with the biological requirements laxed in such a way, less men are born. This effect grows as the most successful huntresses and warrior women are the ones who breed the most readily, and the need for men becomes relegated to breeding alone. And a single male is all that is needed to keep a substantial population constantly pregnant. That explains nothing as to why they look so obscene. Shin protests. I was getting to that. I only have so much air in my lungs. Representative Wu. The reason for their obscene appearance evolves from this state where there are so few men needed. The numbers go down and the demand perversely goes up. With the practicalities of physical shape being a non-issue with the aid of the energy field, females who are better at birthing and wielding axiom become the preferable mates. And so displays of such traits get bred in more and more and selected more and more. Continue it for thousands of generations and you have a society of obscene space harlots. Really? Shin asks with a disgusted look on his face. Yes, however, there are upsides to this crazy galaxy. First is the fact that humans are very much welcome due to the scarcity of men. We are constantly underestimated and due to the axiom allowing jumps in technology and biology uniquely capable in many fields, one of which is poison use and resistance. Poisons are somewhat of a rarity in the galaxy, and our own ability to digest toxins is so high that the standard human meal is considered both inedible and unpalatable. They have little to no defense short of power, armor or tank armor to resist our weapons. And that is putting aside the shenanigans that several of our soldiers have been able to accomplish while studying this new branch of physics. Captain Lake has everyone's attention as she takes a drink of water to try and soothe her parched throat. During a political gambit gone wrong, one of our soldiers, one Herbert Jameson, was temporarily abducted. He awoke in a terrifying situation and in his escape hurled himself from a window of a high-rise apartment complex. At this point, he used his small amount of training in the axiom arts to survive his landing from over a kilometer up and onto solid concrete without safety equipment. That alone is impressive enough. It becomes even more so when you learn that the only reason he was injured at all is that he bounced, and the first impact stunned him to such a degree he was unable to continue using the axiom abilities. The second impact broke most of the bones in his body. While interesting, what is the point of this story? Shin demands, and Captain Lake smiles. She then fiddles with the podium she's standing at, and the image of a fully trained soldier and a young teenager that could be either his son or younger brother appear side by side. The medical technology in the galaxy is so advanced that it took him less than a week to not only fully recover, but grow younger until he resembles his 14-year-old self. This is the same soldier. These people, despite their oddities, have casually cracked eternal life. They harvest and use so much wealth that an entire planet was gifted to Admiral Cistern for human use, and it was ultimately a tax loophole. Enriac 4 may not have a proper atmosphere or biosphere, but it's still an entire planet, one which many of the scientists on the Dauntless are working to correct. We've also been openly invited to colonize an otherwise uninhabited continent on the world of Brule, a hot jungle planet not too far from the edge of cruel space. Colonization rights are being secured? Shin asks in shock, and Captain Lake nods. Yes, unfortunately, the sheer size and population of the galaxy works both for and against us. There are a huge number of worlds just waiting to be claimed, but so many people looking to make those claims that it's effectively impossible to find someplace outside cruel space that humans can have all to ourselves. However, we effectively have the run of the galaxy inside cruel space. A mere half percentile of the galaxy, Shin remarks, and Captain Lake outright laughs. What do you find so amusing about that? The Land Series starships are literally the fastest vehicles humans have ever produced. It still took 2 months to cross half the distance, and that was with an obscenely fast running start, as it were. If we were to colonize a new world every 10 years in our part of the galaxy, it would take millennia to go through it all. The galaxy is enormous on a truly mind-boggling scale. Having 0.5% of it, that's a display of wealth and power that literally no other race can match. What about defensively? Are we in danger from these aliens? Will there be an organized attack? The Russian representative asks. Defense-wise, we're in a perfect position. The aliens are fatally addicted to axiom energy, something they cannot get in cruel space, hence its name. Their technology fails, their biology fails, the vast majority of their plans fail. The beacon that reached us only managed that due to being a very special project that took decades to accomplish. As for organized, no. The alien races are not truly organized. Oh, they have a face of one. But it's completely non-functional. An entire world with populations in the quadrillions is dedicated to administration along the galaxy. And not only is it simply not enough, but it is hopelessly corrupt and so rife with conspiracy that the men on shore leave routinely, stumble into multiple plots without attempting to search for them. You're joking. I wish I was. On one of my own shore leaves, I introduced myself and was passed a data chit containing a plot to spike a popular fruit drink with chemicals designed to mimic the symptoms of a common disease out of season in order to discredit the most common supplier of relieving pharmaceuticals. I received this data chip because I happened to be wearing a red blouse and a tan skirt with running shoes at the time, and that was the agreed upon look. Now, why they never questioned why I'm obviously and demonstrably not her tray contact, I will never know. But it happened regardless. Trip, Shin asks. A species that is effectively what would have happened if humans evolved outside of cruel space. At a distance, we're physically identical to them. On closer scrutiny, the differences stand out enormously. For starters, they are incapable of sweating and match the rest of the galaxy for the absurd proportions in both population and physical stature. After that, they're lacking numerous internal organs, such as the kidneys, adrenal glands, and their digestive system is massively simplified and not utilizing acids to break down their food. It's all quite strange. You appear to have developed a habit of answering in the very long form, Representative Eno remarks. I'm here to answer questions. The more I speak, the more potential questions I head off. Reports from beyond the stars. I can't say I'm shocked that someone took a swipe at her, Eugene Brent remarks as he scans the newspaper. As much as it was common sense to not shoot the messenger, common sense and enormous amounts of political power did not mesh well together. The main article details the very near brush with death that Captain Lake had just avoided and how every single major and minor country on the world had denounced the attack. Whether it would actually mean anything is up in the air, but he was leaning towards no. The poor woman would likely be dead before the year was out. The news that the galaxy was not what people wanted was not being received well. Several groups were attempting to petition a ban on all space flight and exploration. There were some religious petitions that all aliens were to be purged. And apparently the Pope had gone into conference with his bishops to discuss how best to bring the word of God to alien life. There were talks about the next great ship to be an invasion fleet to conquer a world and hold it down for advanced strikes. Another had spoken about kidnapping numerous aliens and observing how and why they died in humanity's slice of the galaxy. Already there were political parties based around human purity, worming their ways into numerous governments and finding themselves being countered by parties of fanatic xenophiles. The whole thing was effectively a global political train wreck still in progress. And a lot of people were trying to call out what the damage would be before everything stopped moving, burning, or exploding. The door to the receptionist office opens, and Eugene flips down a corner of the paper before flipping it back up. It's his ex-wife and her husband. No one behind them, which was more than a bit of a slap in the face. Although, to be fair, many of them have their own lives now, and might simply have chosen not to come. Regardless, this was supposed to be family only, and last Eugene checked, Gregory Line was not Miles's father. Or even on terms beyond polite with the young man, they ignore each other as best as they can. There's nothing to fight over for the moment. And really, this wasn't about his issues, her issues, or anyone other than Miles. The information that had been publicly disseminated hadn't mentioned him much, just a few notes here and there of him being assigned a command post in the EFL on one of its earliest recruits. Mr. Eugene Brent, Miss Veronica Line, we're ready for you now, the receptionist says, and Eugene folds up the newspaper and walks into the room he's being beckoned to. Excuse me, this message is directed to Miss Line and Mr. Brent only. But he's my husband. Regardless, the message is addressed to you and your ex-husband, the receptionist says calmly. It's already been evaluated, and you will be allowed to speak of what you see. But the message is for you and your ex-husband. Eugene keeps the smirk off his face as he finds a seat and settles in. It's a small room with a projector sticking out of the ceiling, adds several chairs. He's on the far right side to give his ex all the distance she wants. She sits in the middle and the door is closed behind them both. The lights dim and the projector begins to play. Miles appears on the screen, clearly armed, and his body language screams tense and uncomfortable. Ah, it's recording. He coughs into his fist nervously and frowns. How do I even say this? Oh no, Eugene says. This can only be bad news. Then Miles gives himself a shake and looks directly into the camera. The news is good and bad. I'm in excellent health. I'm doing amazing things. And to be honest, if you could have 7-year-old me read about everything he'd call me a superhero. But he runs a hand through his hair and clearly struggles with what he's about. To say he takes a deep breath to brace himself. I don't think I'm ever returning to Earth. What? Eugene demands as Veronica gasps in shock. I can't, I have responsibilities now. Some's a bigot. The recording of Miles runs a hand through his head, and he visibly resolves himself. I'm going to be a father. Both Eugene and Veronica gape. Divorced they may be. They spent a long time together and blended their habits a little. Not just once either. Things work different out here. I'm going to have many children. Many children. And I'm not sure if they're going to be human. Miles is now looking down as if trying to find out if he should be ashamed or not. I suppose this is both a farewell message and a bit of a confessional. Speaking now because I've got so much to do and will have to hold my peace. Oh, Miles, you don't need forgiveness for this, Eugene says out loud. Things are even more complicated and strange than you think. I'm not just going to be a father once, but many times. First run through, and I've got 10 children on the way. 10 children? What did he do? Impregnate a brothel? Veronica asks, and Eugene chuckles. There are so many women out here compared to men that they just share their men with each other. I am more or less married to 37 women, and they re the ones that think they re lucky, Miles says before chuckling. I have a harem, and they think they're the lucky ones. It's insane. Good Lord, Eugene says, shaking his head. And that's why I can't go back to Earth. If I have to choose between being a good son and a good father, I have to choose to be a good father. I'm going to have children. I have to put them first. Their mothers wouldn't survive 10 minutes without. Axiom, and I don't know what will happen to the many daughters and few sons I'm going to have, Miles says, seemingly ranting to himself before giving a crook grin to the camera. So, congratulations. You're going to be grandparents again. Although, I think the fact it took me longer than my brothers will be made up by the fact that I'm going to be raising an outright swarm. Miles dissolves into silence for a moment before sighing. I'm sorry you had to learn this way. I'll try to send contacts, but things are moving so fast, shifting so rapidly. I don't know where I'll be in 3 days, let alone where I'll be in a year. This is a dangerous job. I'm on a warship that's frankly a pirate ship that can switch into a militia vessel. But this is also in space, and the amount of empty space between places is nothing short of mind-boggling. With every moment, I'm getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of miles from all of you, and that just feels wrong. I feel like I've failed somewhere. Like I've screwed up, but I can't find out where. Shouldn't being unable to go to your homeland be a sign of failure? isn't this? Miles is interrupted by a chime and looks to his left. Yes. He asks in that strange language that is galactic trade, and English subtitles appear at the bottom of the screen. You're sending that message to your home, right? I'd like to say a few things. A woman answers, and it's in the same language. I think we're about to meet one of his wives, Eugene remarks, even as Veronica leans forward in excitement. Certainly. I was going to be doing some editing to cut out the worst of the babbling, so captioning it shouldn't be hard, Miles says in captioned galactic trade. And Eugene's eyebrows go up at the implication that Miles had cut out some of the babbling. He hadn't noticed. Excellent, the mystery woman says, and there's the sound of a door opening with little clicking noises as she approaches. Then a head appears near the bottom of the image. It was as if someone had decided that a wolf needed to somehow be a woman as well, while still very clearly being a wolf. A gray wolf woman with a huge mane of blonde hair and numerous tiny white lines in her fur, to be precise. Then she stands up and up and up until she towers so far above Miles that he is entirely framed by the overendowed wolf woman. Then she sits down behind him, and Miles steps around her to hug the alien woman from behind. Her smile is nothing short of dopey as she leans back into him. Darling, could you step out for a minute, please? There are some things I'd like to say to your parents, but I'm going to be editing this so they can understand the galactic trade we are speaking in. They don't know the language, Miles tells her as she huffs. Well, so much for having a heart-to-heart with the in-laws, she says with a smile before nuzzling back into Miles, who smiles in response. You've raised a hell of a man. I've lived a long time. I have endured the worst that the galaxy can send out. I have seen my home world burn. I have lived in chains for decades where mad women would cut me for their own entertainment. Do you really have to go into those details, Agenda? Didn't you tell me you were trying to move past it? I am. And doing so includes facing it, according to the ship's doctors, at least meddling busybodies. It's literally their job to worry and bother you. Miles chides her and she chuckles a little. They're certainly getting along, Eugene notes, and Veronica nods rather quickly. It's like they've been together for years. I've been told that human courtships tend to last longer, and those can last years. So I want you to take what I said about my life, about the things I've gone through, and consider that Miles is one of the better things to happen to me. Perhaps among the best, she says. Just better? Miles teases and Eugene grins. Getting revenge on the underscore that burned my world and earning my freedom with the blood of my oppressors is stiff competition, Agenda says with a vicious grin full of sharp teeth. Fair enough. Hopefully, I'm more of a consistent nice than those one-and-done events. I'm still free, so it's not exactly one and done. Agenda notes, with a bit of a giggle. So you're saying I've got my work cut out for me? Maybe she teases him as he teased her? So I just wanted to say thank you. I'll be doing my best to take good care of him and keep him out of too much trouble. I'm the one who's going to get in trouble. Miss Pirate, may I remind you who kidnapped who? I put you in a safe, secure little room. You intimidated a mech pilot through her armor, used it to disable another mech, and then tried to peel her out of her own suit before vanishing into the bowels of the ship, only to reveal yourself in my quarters when you gave yourself priority access to everything. Yes, you're trouble. Agenda protests, and he chuckles before looking at the camera. To keep things clarified, Agenda and her girls were hired to take a swipe at the Dauntless and bring back as many humans as possible. They only got me, and I made them regret it. Only at the time I'm quite thankful we got you now, Agenda says, and Miles chuckles. He looks right at the camera. I think I should leave all that in. It's a good introduction to you, Agenda. Showing off the first wife like I'm the prize? She asks with a very human quirk of the lips. And he nods. Don't you start spoiling me now. I'll come to expect it. Right. Well, I have no idea how to end this properly. I fully intend to send more messages and hope that someday someone will join me up here in the stars. Although, it's likely to be more messages before anything else. Hopefully you'll be able to send a proper message and nothing weird happens. It's going to be most of a year between exchanges. Wow. I think we should end the message here on a more proper note. On the next communication, I'll give you all an introduction to all the girls your son is attached to. Who knows? He may have a proper 100 wives by then, Agenda says with a teasing smile. 100, dear God, Miles says in English before the video ends. Well, he's keeping busy. Eugene, what? I was worried he'd never settle down and find a girlfriend. The first part might not be showing up anytime soon, but he's certainly gotten himself a lot of women. Don't be a pig. Our son is not coming home because he's building a new one. He's doing the right thing, prioritizing his children over his parents. That's the smart move, the sensible one. I'm proud of him. Sure, I'm going to miss him, but I'm proud of him. But we might never see him again. Then we're just going to have to be content that he's living the best life possible. Eugene says, standing up and cracking his back before presenting the newspaper. He is millions of miles away from the _ here on Earth and surrounded by women who love him and soon children as well. I count that as a win. His part said he walks out of the room with a smile. Excuse me, is there any way to get a copy of the message for myself? Putting on a DVD or something? It will take some time. There's all sorts of legal wrangling currently ongoing about the information from space. This should be harmless though. Nothing in there is any kind of secret. The receptionist says, and Eugene nods. Wonderful. Can I get the number of who to contact to get this rolling?